The sound of a paint roller scraping across concrete shouldn't wake a man up at 6 in the morning, but that's exactly what did it. I looked out my window and saw her, Patricia Hendris, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, wearing her sun visor and wielding a paint roller like a weapon. And she wasn't painting her own driveway. She was painting mine. "Excuse me!" I shouted, storming out barefoot. "What the hell are you doing?" She didn't even flinch. "Just correcting a violation," she said sweetly. "Your driveway color doesn't meet community standards. I'm helping you out. Helping me out. By covering my slate gray driveway with her favorite shade of eggshell white." For months, Patricia had been after me about the color. She said it made the street look gloomy. I'd ignored her letters, the citations, and the thinly veiled threats about fines. But apparently, she'd decided to take matters into her own hands. I grabbed my phone and started recording. "You're trespassing on private property, Patricia." Her smirk faltered for a second, but she kept rolling paint like she owned the place. "The HOA board approved corrective action," she said. "You'll thank me later." I pointed the camera at her car parked across the street, loaded with paint, buckets, and supplies. "Funny," I said, "because I'm the vice president of the HOA, and I don't remember any vote authorizing you to vandalize my property." That got her attention. She froze mid-roll. "Patricia," I continued, "you just committed property damage on camera. You're going to fix every inch of this or the cops will." Her confidence cracked. "You wouldn't dare," she snapped. "Oh, I'd love to," I said, walking up and taking the roller from her hand. "In fact, since you're so eager to help, why don't we make this fair?" Her face went pale as I pointed at her pristine white driveway across the street. "You like eggshell so much. Maybe you'd like a new accent color, say charcoal gray?" She tried to grab her things, but it was too late. Neighbors had started gathering, whispering, laughing quietly. Cameras were out. Patricia, the queen of order, had just become the morning's entertainment. "Go home, Patricia," I said calmly, "and pray this footage doesn't end up at the next board meeting." But deep down I wasn't done. Not even close. By the time the sun was high, the neighborhood group chat was buzzing like a hornet's nest. Everyone had seen the video. Patricia Hendris, HOA president, vandalizing my driveway like a manic decorator on caffeine. Some folks laughed. Others asked if it was real. But the best part? Patricia herself posted a statement in the HOA forum claiming it was all a misunderstanding, that she was correcting an unsanctioned color deviation. I nearly spit out my coffee reading that. A deviation? She had trespassed and painted half my driveway without consent. So I decided to handle things the way Patricia hated most, by following the rules to the letter. That afternoon, I filed a formal complaint citing HOA bylaw. Paragraph 3.6. Members may not alter or interfere with another resident's property without written authorization. I attached the video, time-stamped and crystal clear. Then I emailed it to every board member, along with a special note. "If this isn't handled fairly, I'll bring it to county code enforcement myself." 2 hours later, Patricia showed up at my door, wearing her usual pastel sweater and forced smile. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. I stepped outside, crossing my arms. "Sure. You here to apologize or repaint?" She sighed. "This is getting out of hand. Jack, the neighbors are gossiping and the board is furious. Can't we just settle this quietly?" "Quietly?" I echoed. "You splashed white paint across my property at dawn, and now you want quiet?" Her smile cracked. "Look, I'll cover the cost of materials. Let's just forget this ever happened." But I wasn't letting her off that easy. "You love the rules, Patricia, so let's play by them. The bylaws say you have to restore any property you damaged, personally. That means you repaint my driveway, not a contractor." Her mouth fell open. "That's absurd!" "Then I guess we'll see what the county inspector thinks." She stood there speechless, clutching her clipboard like a lifeline. Then she did what I didn't expect. She agreed. "Fine, but when I'm done I want this video deleted." I just smiled. "We'll see." The next morning, Patricia showed up with paint rollers and buckets of the original gray I'd picked months ago. Neighbors peeked from their porches, sipping coffee like it was the Super Bowl. And as she bent over to start repainting, I had a little surprise of my own waiting across the street. While Patricia was hunched over, fixing the mess she'd made, I was across the street inspecting her own immaculate driveway. Every inch was the color of smug perfection. White. Glossy and proud, just like her personality. But that morning, she was too focused on repainting mine to notice me taking photos and measurements. I had a plan brewing, and it was entirely within HOA rules, something Patricia couldn't twist her way out of. You see, I'd remembered a little clause in the HOA handbook she wrote herself. Section 4.1, driveway. Colors must be neutral tones consistent with natural stone or asphalt. That meant no white, no bright colors, nothing reflective. and Patricia's blinding eggshell masterpiece violated it perfectly. So, while she sweated under the sun restoring my driveway, I filed another complaint, this time against her. I attached her own rulebook, a time-stamped photo of her white driveway, and the kicker. Violation filed by Vice President Morrison. Immediate correction requested. By evening, the HOA board group chat was chaos. Everyone saw it. Patricia's driveway was now officially non-compliant. And according to the bylaws, the violator had exactly 7 days to correct the issue, or face daily fines. The irony was delicious. 2 days later, Patricia cornered me at the mailbox, eyes bloodshot from stress. "You set me up," she hissed. I shrugged. "I didn't set you up. I just followed your rules." "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" she spat. "Oh, absolutely," I said with a grin. "But not as much as the neighbors." By the weekend, Patricia was at it again. This time repainting her own driveway under the same baking sun, while half the neighborhood watched from their lawns. The same people she'd lectured about lawn, height, and trash bins were now quietly cheering every stroke of her roller. I leaned against my truck and gave her a thumbs up. "Looks good, Patricia. Make sure it's neutral stone, not too white." She glared daggers, her visor sliding off in the heat. "This isn't over, Jack," she muttered. "Oh, it's just beginning," I said. "You started a paint war. I'm just making sure the rules are fair for everyone." When she finally finished, her once pristine driveway looked dull and lifeless, a perfect match for her defeated scowl. But she didn't know that my last move was still coming, and it would leave her wishing she'd never touched a drop of paint. For a week, things were quiet, too quiet. Patricia had repainted her driveway, filed no more complaints, and even skipped our Friday HOA meeting, something she never did. I should have known that silence meant she was plotting. The calm broke early Saturday morning. I walked outside to grab my paper and froze. A massive sign stood in the middle of my yard, freshly staked into the grass. In bold red letters, it read, "Non-compliant driveway, under review." At the bottom, in smaller print, "Courtesy of your HOA president." Patricia was back. I took a deep breath and smiled, because this time I was ready. See, ever since the paint fiasco, I'd installed a few discreet security cameras. I had footage, lots of it, showing her sneaking around at dawn with that sign, hammering it in while muttering something about restoring order. By noon, I'd sent the video to the HOA board, the neighborhood group chat, and even printed a copy of the sign to bring to the emergency meeting she herself had called. When the meeting started, Patricia tried to play innocent. "Neighbors," she began, smoothing her pastel blazer. "Some residents have been bending the rules, and I interrupted. "You mean like sneaking into my yard again? Because I have footage." Gasps filled the room. Patricia froze as I set my phone on the table and pressed play. The video showed her, in high definition, planting the sign on my lawn while whispering, "This'll teach him." Her jaw dropped. That's taken out of context." The treasurer cleared his throat. "Looks pretty clear to me, Patricia." Then another board member added, "You've harassed multiple homeowners, vandalized property, and now this. You're done." Her face went pale. "You can't remove me. I founded this HOA." "Correction," I said calmly. "You abused it." The vote was unanimous. Patricia Hendris was officially removed as HOA president effective immediately. The room erupted into quiet applause. After the meeting, she stormed out, humiliated. The next morning, her for sale sign appeared on the lawn, and in poetic justice, her freshly repainted driveway still bore faint streaks of gray where my color had bled through, the mark of her own undoing. As I watched the moving truck roll away a few weeks later, I couldn't help but chuckle. She came after my driveway with a paint roller and left with her pride in a bucket. Karma. Doesn't always knock. It sometimes rolls right over you with 2 coats of irony. Love seeing Karens lose their cool? Then smash that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you'd have done in my place.